Well, hello, hello. I have myself another kind of almost no-name kind of brand here. I did see this one and another one from this company that interested me on Amazon the other day, and that's Foresail. Not as in I am trying to sell it off, but yes. And what is kind of interesting about this is I think this on the barcode is probably about as close as we're going to get to a model number or name. Yeah, it doesn't have a model number or name or anything on the knife, nor does it on the box, nor does it on the listing on Amazon. So, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and call this one a for sale D2 flipper because, well, that's what it is. First up, what I can say with this G10 here is they've done some interesting kind of milling on there to give it a bit of texture. And yeah, it certainly does work. It's it's probably about the same amount of effectiveness as a peel ply texture would be on the G10, but just adds a little bit of a visual flair to it. Next up, the detent on this thing is chef's kiss perfect. Just ka-chunk. That was about as light as I could do it, even with the pad of my finger. So this guy is next to impossible to fail. So they really did a fantastic job there. Now that hole on this one isn't really accessible by thumb or spidey flick or anything like that. So that's kind of unfortunate. And it does kind of have a little carved out area for your finger pad to rest on as you kind of deploy the knife. There we go. It's got a whole lot of belly on there, which I do actually prefer on a lot of my folders, just for the amount of power that you can get kind of right there in the center. And yeah. Yeah. All right. So the action on this thing is pretty darn good, and it wasn't very bad to begin with when I first got it, but I did tune it up a little bit, made it just a little bit better. The pocket clip on this guy, yeah, it's fairly deep carry-ish kind of thing there. They probably could have pushed it up towards the end there if they wanted to use that screw as part of the hardware for actually mounting the blade together. But yeah, it would have a little corner sticking up. So yeah, kind of understand that. They do have a little tiny lanyard hole there, which I think the pocket clip would probably slowly destroy whatever lanyard you had in there. So I would suggest taking the pocket clip off if you're going to carry it with a lanyard on there. So yep, keep that in mind. All right. Yeah, so the blade length on this thing is, it's fairly generous. I'm going to go like probably 3.3 inches or so. Yeah, I always got to keep in mind that the zero for that is actually inset a couple of millimeters there. So, yeah, probably around 3.3 inches. Now, something that I'm a little bit skeptical about, but it was something that I was a little bit interested on here. Yeah, it says the company name Foresail on the front. The backside here is something that they also advertise on their thing, and as far as actually getting the light on there, yeah, it says D2 62 plus or minus 1 HRC. So they're saying that this should have a 61, 62, or 63 Rockwell hardness. And, well, I have done my sharpening job here, and it really didn't feel that way to me. This thing sharpened up very, very quickly, which, does make me worry about a couple of things. Generally, unless it was, something like the crazy scandal that Ethan Grow or Ethan Grau, however you pronounce it, had where, most of their knives claimed that they were D2 when they were very much not that. I don't actually suspect that's the case here. because D2 is so prevalent and everyone get their hands on it very, very readily in China, I don't really think that they have anything to kind of lie about in that particular sense. So I do believe it is actually D2. However, their heat treat on it, I'm not buying it at all. It felt a little bit more like probably 57, 58 or so. And I mean, that's just kind of my estimation on sharpening many knives with the work sharp precision adjust and how the diamond stones feel and whatnot. So yeah, I kind of, as opposed to that, that I also sharpened around the same time was this Best Tech Swordfish. And this is also in D2. And this took considerably more effort to actually put that nice edge on there. They both got that nice edge, but I do believe this guy is going to hold on to it much longer. I suppose that also kind of makes sense, as this knife is $20 and this knife is $50. So hey, they're charging more. Yes, it is a little bit bigger. And they do have, varying qualities of different materials and whatnot. But yeah, I think probably a lot more of the money for this knife actually went into the time that it takes to properly heat treat a knife. So there you go. There's that. The ergonomics on the thing aren't too bad. And for a $20 knife, I mean, come on, this thing is pretty darn good. It is riding on bearings. We will kind of take a look at that here in a minute. And we got a little G10 backspacer there. What I can say is that this clip kind of looks nice, but it has that same kind of original Tucson clip kind of design here, where it's rather pointy and juts straight up, and it just makes like the worst hot spot, like right around the inside of your knuckle on your middle finger there, and it's very difficult to ignore. Like I can hold it like this, and it's okay. That point is still kind of sticking in there. Yeah, you can see the little indentation that it was getting there. So yeah, if they were to revive this, I would highly suggest that they excuse me, that they do revamp that clip. But yeah, now let's go ahead and remove said clip. We have T6 hardware all around on this guy except for the pivot. That one's a little longer. This actually attaches the G10 scale to the steel liner, so it is much shorter. Alright, now let's see what kind of luck I have. Oh, good. Okay, cool. This had some crazy permanent Loctite on there, so it did actually take a bit of force to open it up. I wasn't forcing it, but it did take a bit of torque to kind of start doing that. But yep, we got G10 on the inside, of course. Yeah, just same as pretty much any other kind of companies there. We got the liner here, and you can see that the bearings do inset into the liner. They don't inset into the blade at all. That's, certainly one way to do it. We also see that we have the internal blade pin kind of going on there, and they didn't cut a hole in there, so it does help with some ingress of dust and whatnot. And we have a ceramic ball for the liner here. And yeah, you can see I got KPL and whatever aflow in here. But they have a ceramic detent ball, but we have steel bearings. Light's probably not doing the best for that, but yeah, they're not black. They are silver, for sure. And yeah, we got just a itty bitty little bit of skeletonization going on there. It is kind of difficult when they do actually want to pin a handle scale onto some liners. Really does take away from their ability to do any of that sort of skeletonization stuff without having severe problems with it. So yeah, we have basically this barrel spacer back here, and this actually screws in for both sides. So this is 2 pieces. It's not a single piece like you'd see on a lot of Tucsons. And nothing particularly wrong with that. This guy doesn't have a D-shaped pivot. And you know what? That's perfectly okay. To actually undo this guy the first time would actually took a little bit of torque. I did actually have to employ my little gorilla grip. Whereas, yeah, it's T8 for the pivot. And I did have to basically wedge this on the backside inside the pivot so that I can turn it properly without them both spinning. But it was very, very easy to do so. So yeah, pretty darn easy to put this guy back together. If you really, really do tear absolutely everything apart, it does get slightly more complicated. There's something for Jim Shepard right there. Just completely forgot to throw that stupid ball bearing back in there. But yay, we got it now. All right, we good. We good. But yeah, I did have a bit of a struggle trying to get this thing back together the first time, but some of that had to do with noticing some different length of screws and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it's put together relatively simply. I still think they probably could have gotten away with not using the screws to lock down these scales. But, you know, to each their own. It's not me who's designing the knife. It's them. But something that I've also noticed about this guy is it is rather prone to being off-center when you're putting it back together. And yeah, I mean, that does happen on some knives from time to time. And it is relatively easy to fix that. I'll kind of go through that a little bit here once I get the pocket clip back on there. Just because, you know, it's kind of fun for some people to see that if they haven't seen something like it or whatnot before. All right. Come on, clip. Work with me here. There we go. Okay, so yeah, I mean, we don't have any rubbing or anything like that going on, but yeah, it is a little bit off-center. So the first thing I will generally do is kind of hold the knife with the tip pointing down. That way I can actually get to that one that I need to actually torque on a little bit and kind of tighten that to see if that helps. And in this particular case, does not seem to be the case. So I do want to loosen that a little bit, and then any of the screws that actually do kind of come in contact with the liners there. So in this particular case, I don't need to worry about the clip so much, but I will loosen them up a little bit. Actually, I kind of had to because of because of these guys also kind of coming in contact with the liner. So yeah, just kind of loosen everything up just a little tiny bit here. And then try to tighten that pivot back up. And yeah, you can see that that's moved a little bit. It's a lot better than it was, but it's not absolutely perfect. So something else you can do there. Let's see, I got some folded up paper here. And yeah, for the edge or the side that it wants to be on, you kind of want to wedge something in there a little bit, kind of force them a little bit going the other way. You know, you don't want to have a crazy amount of anything going on there, but you know, just enough to apply some pressure as you kind of tighten this guy back up, and then tighten him pretty darn well. Remove that, and yeah, this guy didn't really. Yeah, that's pretty darn good. No, but yeah, a lot of times that's how you will basically work with those guys. Is you'll loosen up the stuff that's or all the hardware holding the knife together, and then retighten down the pivot. That way it kind of relieves some stress that it would otherwise have kind of in there. This one doesn't really seem to be responding super well to it, but I mean, it's, hey, for a $20 knife, it's not too bad at all. Certainly doesn't rub or anything like that, so we're all good there. This might be just slightly tighter than I would actually want it. Helps if I actually grab the right bit. Yeah. Yep, nice and kind of drop shutty there. So all right. That wasn't exactly the biggest, most interesting, and successful realigning of a blade, but that is certainly the intent of that. Some knives are very temperamental. It seems as though this screw on the pocket clip has just stripped. So yeah, it just continually spins and spins and spins. And this one is actually, yeah, a little annoying. It's because it's not actually interfacing with the liner. It's kind of interfacing with the back spacer. And, you know, threaded G10, not a great thing. I've run into that on some, like the YX design, a little tiny double detent. But yeah, so there you go. This is kind of an interesting knife, and for $20, if you know, it's readily available, and that's around the price you're actually looking to pay for a knife, it's probably pretty darn good. I think that the marketing hype around it being, you know, D2 at you know, 62 HRC plus or minus is a little optimistic on their part. But, you know, that being said, I haven't actually done a cut test with it. Just, you know, light cutting, breaking down some boxes and whatnot. So, there you go. Well, this is the Foresail whatever. Let's go ahead and call it the X002R30IHJ, huh? Alright, well I do have another Foresail coming here in the next couple of days, and that one actually interested me because it's using a different type of steel called DC53. And DC53 is a bit like D2, but it's a modified version of it. We've seen actually quite a bit of those, but DC53 has actually been around for a very long time. Just hasn't really gotten a whole lot of traction. But yeah, it's a little bit more modified version of D2. It's supposed to have better edge retention and whatnot, which, yeah, that's always nice to see. And I've seen some arguments here and there of basically a particle metallurgy version of DC53 being CPM crew wear. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea there. But yeah, I don't think that it's going to last anywhere near that long. But hey, I was still kind of interested. So yeah, I picked that one up, and it should be here in a couple of days, and I should be able to then play around with it, sharpen it, get a feel for it, and all of its kind of construction and everything. But yeah. All right. Well, this has probably gone on way too long for what this $20 knife is. But yeah. All right. Well, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo.